All right, I might have had 1 week off, but it's certainly not been off the bike, and we're up to log number 6 or 5 now. I think, how can I lose count so early? But anyway, we've been busy training, and that's what this log is all about. It's about the only workout you need. Well, the only workout I seem to need at the moment, it's been working really well for me, and that is the famous 40-20s. Now, for those of you that don't know what a 40-20 is, stop the video, live your life in peace. You don't want to know almost. It's one of the more painful but best bang for your buck style workouts in cycling. I think there's a version of it in running as well. Cut forward to 3 months' time where I become a runner for a period. And I'm going to probably find out if the 40-20 is a real thing in running. I'd imagine it is. At least in cycling, what we're referring to is 40 seconds and 20-second intervals. It's where you're doing 40 seconds above threshold and then 20 seconds just below threshold. So I've done, since the last log, about 4 sessions of these. And I did touch on one of my logs on the type of structure I like to put into my training, which is it's pretty rudimental. There's nothing science breaking here. Groundbreaking science, whichever way you want to spin it. But that's pretty much just a Monday as a recovery lightish kind of day. I start my weeks always with Monday, by the way. I don't know why exactly. It's just always been that way. My first ever coach did that, then my second coach did that, and my third coach did that. Now I'm self-coached and I do that. Let me know if that's actually a normal thing. Is Monday the start of the week for most people when it comes to training, or you're a Sunday person? I don't think Saturday's everything. Surely not. That's bizarre. But yeah, look, I start my weeks on a Monday. It's always an easy day to kick the week off. It's definitely at least an hour usually. None of my training's typically below an hour. If you see my training peaks from this week, though, you'll see I did do less than an hour on Monday. So don't always follow my own advice. I need to. And then Tuesday's a hard day. When I was training or racing or, racing seriously, professionally, that kind of stuff, it was always a ride in the morning, and it would be, an hour and a half, 2 hours, maybe even 3 hours of what is now called fat max or zone two or whatever term you want to put on it these days. It was just tempo, like just below tempo kind of style riding. You'd go out for bunchy, you get some extras in. And then for me, because I started taking cycling pretty seriously pretty young, go to school, and then after school I'd do my efforts. And that's what I now pretty much only do the effort portion. I'm a bit more time poor. So, and I'll get into why I think that's the best structure for a lot of people, is just focusing on the quality of the time you've got and the quality of the workout you could get out of that time. But if I had all the time in the world, I would do 3 hours of fat max riding. Fat max is just another word for zone two, realistically, or 70% of your FTP, or somewhere around there. Like you're on but not on. As the name suggests, you're just burning fat in that zone. You're not really touching carbs. And then in the afternoon, so I'd do that early, like 5:30, 5 o'clock, be finished by at least 9 at the latest. And then in the arvos, usually around 4:30, 5 o'clock, I'd be getting on the ergo. And this was pre-Zwift and pre like being able to actually have a smart trainer to have erg mode on and stuff like that. So I would literally have a little old school ghetto cycle computer thing. Not even Garmin. This is pre-Garmin stuff. I think I had like a cat eye, maybe, might have been what I was using, something like that. And you literally just watch your numbers or the wall in front of you. You definitely have some music pumping, I can tell you that. And some things never change. You'd have a few fans blasting on you. I would do that Tuesday and Thursday. Wednesday was always endurance. If I had the hours, it was always, 5, 6 hours of endurance riding. And then Fridays, rest day, always rest day, unless there was a cool race to do. Then yeah, you obviously be able to race. Saturday, Sundays are for long, harder-ish kind of rides, not exactly zone two, fat max, but throwing in mix of stuff in there, or at least a race if there's a race going on. And I still follow that structure. Now I'm time poor. This is probably where I can make it a little bit more relatable. So that was my structure when I had all the time in the world, because you're a professional cyclist. Of course, you can have all the time in the world to just spend hours and hours in zone two or fat max, whatever it is, and then do your structured training to the T. Nowadays, most of us are too time poor to do too much zone two, which is how I originally started this series, saying like zone two, I don't think is realistically for everyone or should be for the masses. Mostly because we're all time poor and you need to get more bang from your buck for your workouts. So if you've only got, say, for me at the moment, I'm averaging 9 to 10 hours a week in my training. But if you've got less than that, like 4 or 5 hours, I don't think you should be doing 3 hours of zone two and only 2 hours of intensity, because you're not going to increase any capacity, whether that's VO2, whether that's anaerobic, aerobic, if it's your FTP, whatever it is, whatever your goal may be, but they're typically in one of those buckets. You're not increasing that by just spending time and time in the green and blue zone. It's not possible, because you're not stretching anything. You're going to lose weight. I can tell you that. I know that's a lot of people's goal, is just to lose weight. You'll lose weight, that's for sure, but you're not going to increase any fitness capacities. And that's where I think doing a lot of the more intensity focused stuff, which is I'm sure a lot of people might be a bit scared to do or a bit hesitant to do, but it's all relative. You will find what works for you pretty quickly with that kind of work. And for me right now, I'm going to share some data in just a moment, but it's given me crazily good results. So for the last 2 weeks in particular, I've really honed in on this, but since the start of the year, really 2 months, it's been that structure. Monday, easy, 1 hour. I'd be averaging, for me, my FTP at the time was probably around 380. I'd be averaging around 200 watts. So you'd call that low zone two, upper zone one kind of riding on a Monday. Tuesday and Thursday were just straight out an effort of some form, whether it was a Zwift race, which I could count as an effort, because if you know Zwift races, they're always efforts, or an actual structured workout of some form, typically on Zwift, because smart trainers are brilliant to give you prescribed workouts. Wednesday was always an hour and a half or so of that zone two-ish kind of stuff. For me, back at the start of the year, my FTP was around that 380 number. That would be around, 240, maybe 245, 250, somewhere in that window. So bang, middle of zone two, fat max kind of style rides. And I was predominantly doing that just to get my weight down. So I really wanted to get the sub 80 quickly. And thankfully I'm there now, which is great. So it did its job. And I'd still just do that because it's just good for volume, to be honest. It's good because the race I'm doing is 110 Ks. Thursday was a repeat of Tuesday, whether it was a Zwift race or a workout. And then Friday was always off the bike, unless I really had the itch. Then I'd repeat on Monday and just do a super easy ride. Saturday, Sunday, I try to always get out on the road on one of those days. This week, cut to my picture now, I'll talk over it. I did get out. So Saturday, I actually got out on the road, which is brilliant. Cut away here, mid cut away, but in Melbourne, the F1 is on in 2 weeks' time, I think it is, maybe 3 weeks. I know preseason testing's on at the moment. I'm a McLaren fan, so hoping for an Oscar Piastri win, maybe. Never know. But I was able to go ride the F1 track, Albert Park. And it's really cool at the moment because the whole track is like actually built. So I took a picture going down home straight, which you guys can see now, but it's pretty cool. But the one thing I love doing this circuit that I did, and I'll show you guys that in just a moment, but I always do this circuit. I'm trying to caveat this out, that I didn't do this just because the F1's on. I always do what I call my classic beach road Albert Park loop, and then come home this really nice way along the Yarra. And today, oh boy, everyone was out on F1 circuit. Everyone was at Albert Park. The runners were nuts. It was cool to see though. I mean, it's not often. It's once a year you get the chance to actually go ride or run Albert Park when it's decked out like that. So I'll cut across quickly now, take a look at this one if it wants to load for me. There we go. But yeah, this is my typical. So I just go literally full beach road right down to the bottom of Morty Alec there, do a Yui at the roundabout. I always come up and take a ride at Albert Park, and then I do a lap of Albert Park, and then I ride along the Yarra on the way home. This part is actually probably just about my favorite, although coming along the home straight or back straight of Albert Park is always fun. But yeah, that was really cool today. Back on topic, talking about where I'm at now. So I'd been following that structure I touched on for about, I'd say good 6 weeks. And then the last 2 weeks, I've been doing this workout, this exact workout. I just went, look, I've done cycling for a long time, so I kind of know what works really well, like in terms of best bang for your buck style workouts. This is it, the classic 40-20. So for me, it's 110 to 115% of my FTP, and then sitting at 80 to 90% of my FTP. 12 times, repeat it 3 sets with 4 minutes recovery in between. I can get that down to 3, but that'll probably be next month to really sharpen the legs. And I also have introduced doing these at a set cadence as well at the moment. But this is what it looks like. I've been doing this Tuesday and Thursday. I try to get something in on the morning if I can. It might be as simple as a walk, but at least something in the morning to keep the legs ticking. So I warm up for 5 minutes. I get my sets in. So these are 12 40 by 20s. So 40 seconds above threshold, 20 seconds just below it. And you can see, if you do the maths, how much this has been working for me. So it's going to be a segue to just a moment. But yeah, I do those 12 repeats of that. And then I do a 4 minute at around zone 1, maybe just creeping into zone 2. 4 minutes, back into it again. 4 minutes, back into it again. 4 minutes. And then this is the really nice part of the workout. So I think everyone should look to try and creep this in. I did this just before I had my knee injury. And I'll be honest, this really got me into shape. Creeping in 10 minutes at the end of what was a pretty bloody intense workout, doing 10 minutes at sweet spot. So, well, just below 3 sweet spot, somewhere in or around it. Approaching it, we could call it. So for me at the moment, that's that 320 to 340 kind of number. 10 minutes there at the end or after doing those intense workout really brings up your capacity, or some people call it durability, bit of the trendy topic at the moment, the old durability chat. I need to look into that more myself, but this is what I do for that. So I find tacking on these sweet spot kind of style efforts after doing really hard stuff, that's where your gains are. What I'd love to do, and this is going to be a little, maybe look into where my mind's at the moment. I'd love to maybe look at doing gravel races potentially in the later half of this year or maybe next year. Kind of looking into it at the moment. So let me know any of your thoughts on gravel and where that's going. But yeah, I haven't really taken part in it yet, but I've been looking at some stuff, watching some content online, the Dylan Johnson kind of stuff. Yeah, it's giving me the itch. It looks fun. But what I'd love to do if I'm going to do that is probably whack another set of 40-20. So do 4 total after doing a block like this right here, after maybe a 4 minute easy, and then go into a cool down. If I could actually complete that workout like that, I reckon I'd be flying, to be honest. But as it stands, doing this for the last 2 weeks, so I was sitting at 390 was my FTP 2 weeks, 2 and a bit weeks, call it 3 weeks ago. Enter doing 4 of these, my FTP is now 405 from these workouts. So you can do the maths down below, but yeah, I can't give that more of a real world stamp of approval for a workout than 390 to 405 increase. I don't even necessarily need to lose weight from where I'm at for Brisbane now. I'm kind of where I need to be. I keep doing these. I'm going to keep increasing a little bit of the capacity. I might arrive at Brisbane with a 415, 420 FTP, somewhere around there if I hit my peaks just right. And that's kind of it. I wouldn't even necessarily need to lose weight. Now, my goal is to be at 75 race weight, and then a 405 FTP would actually put me above the numbers I need. But if I could maybe squeeze it a bit, I don't know yet. Goal is to not leave a stone unturned with this stuff. But the main thing, like I said, with these workouts is understanding the hours you've got in a week. And I'm a big believer that you probably don't realistically need more than 4 or 5 hours in a week actually to get fit if you're structuring your workouts the best you can. So I'm going to cut away at the end of this to me actually on the bike doing a style, not, it was just before I entered doing these workouts, but a style of the efforts I was talking about. So I do an impromptu race or an impromptu route or something on Zwift, and I just intro some hard work. That was, I only probably had an hour and a half to do that day that I recorded. But that's what I mean when I say I look at the hours I've got to work with, like what have I got to be able to ride or do some training? What have I got available? And would you, if you knew you had an hour to work out, I mean, use the gym as a good example. You try, everyone's goal with the gym typically is to build the abs, build the arms, build something. It's self improvement, right? It's working on yourself. Would you go to the gym and say you could bench 70, which not bad if you can bench 70, good on you guys out there that can do that. I got myself to that point and I stopped going. I need to go back. But you can bench 70 at the gym. Would you go to the gym and randomly start benching the bar again, even though you could bench 70? You weren't injured. You just decided to rock up the bar to the gym and was like, yeah, I'm going to do the bar. I'm going to do zone two. I don't know anyone that would do that. No one lifts under their ability at the gym. You look at the way high rocks and all these style sports go when it's around the gym stuff. It's all about pushing yourself. These are people that the people that I know that do high rocks at least. We're talking about time poor people. They're usually pretty upper echelon style people, and they don't go to the gym or the runs or whatever it is they're doing, and they're sat there doing zone two. I think it's just that trendy word, and I think it's had its day in the sun, to be honest. Now people are starting to realize, yeah, sure, it's a great workout to do if you've got the time, but probably need to prioritize other things. So, if I look at my makeup of the week, right, I got my 10 hours, I probably spend about 2 hours, 2 and a bit hours of it at a dedicated zone two ride. So I did that ride this morning, for example. My average FTP was, I think, 240. My normalized was close to 300. It was one of those kind of rides, to be honest. Too many traffic lights in Melbourne. Looking forward to my move. But yeah, that's where I really take a dedicated look at the time I've got available, and I'm working out, even like, this is where I'm a bit flexible. Even though I've got this kind of loose slash rigid structure of how I like to look at my week, I make sure if something's going to slide later in the week. So, for example, I've got a meeting maybe on Thursday, I'm going to be a bit late home from work. Maybe I make Wednesday a hard ride. It might not give me the best adaptations that I'm after because I'm not recovered as much as I need to be, but that's still better than just having a piss about ride and losing hours when I'm not going to get the hard ride in. So what's happened basically is I would go from a 9 to 10 hour ride week down to 7 to 8 hours. I'm going to now reevaluate my intensity hours in the week and actually make it a little bit harder for myself, because I need to I'm at that point in my training cycle, man. I really need to get that intensity in. And that's what my big focus is going to be over the next couple of weeks. And my logs are going to probably take a bit more of that style, is really focusing on the training I'm doing at the moment and the results I'm getting from it. Because right there, what I went through early in this log is a great example of, well, real world proof. You don't just walk your way into a 15 watt increase above the magical 400 number that a lot of people chase. I'm thankful I've had a background in this sport, so I know a lot of what to do. But this is stuff I've had to be educated from people like myself now, where they've been in the sport a long time and they knew what to do. And it's just been instilled in me. And like I said, this is what I found has works better than anything else. Whether it's a 40-20, it's a 30-30, it's a 3 minute sweet spot, or whatever it is, because, obviously we've all got different goals when it comes to this stuff. But intensity in your training, can't undersell it enough. But yeah, shout out to that ride that I shared earlier. That was really cool, getting to ride around Albert Park. Not that I want to jump over too much in this log, but yeah, I don't have too long left in Melbourne. I think I've only got 2 and a bit weeks now. And it was really nice to get to do that Albert Park loop again. For me, I used to work in South Melbourne, so we'd always do an Albert Park lap at lunchtime with the team I worked with, and that was some of the best times in Melbourne for me. I love Albert Park for that. It's something that Sydney siders have. They have Centennial Park. I'm obviously moving to Newcastle myself. Newcastle kind of has an industrial estate area called Kooragang. And I used to love racing there too. I think there's something about these like Camise style loops that just, I don't know, it's pretty Aussie, I guess, to have one of those in your town that you get to go absolutely smash yourself at. So I love that. But what I loved probably more than anything this week was this ride I'm going to show you guys. Alrighty, something a bit different this week. I chatted about my training. We're live at the moment on Zwift, which I'll flip around in a minute and show you. We're doing 3 efforts up KOMs in Zwift, using the live leaderboard just to track how we're going, and also previous PRs. Yeah, this week I really focused on some easier work after last week being a pretty heavy week. Yeah, I'll flick it around and show you what we're doing. Alright, here we are, sitting on a nice 400-ish watts up this KOM. We're on to beat our PR down there at the moment, 4 seconds up. This effort's around 3:30, 4 minutes. We're just trying to average around 400 for it. And something I love to do when I'm on Zwift, pop an episode of Seinfeld on so you can do Zwiftfeld. Anyway, I'll tune in a minute when we're over the top with how we went. Alrighty, there we are. 3:36 across that one. About 13 second PB over the last 90. Not too bad. Episode's gone well though. And we've got the next one coming up very shortly. I'll tune in towards the top with how we go. Alright, there we go. That one hurt a bit. We're about to go up the wall next. At 6:08, it's about 30 seconds, 25 seconds up on my 90-day. Form is coming well then. And that was the purpose of that easy week this week. Freshen up so I can just do a little temp check while still getting some good endurance in. Yeah, we'll tune in again when we're at that back end of this. It's about a 20-minute effort. We should be a little bit toasty by then. So we'll see how we go. I'm actually a bit cooked at the moment. Well, a little bit out of breath more than anything. My excuse is it's warm, and you do drop, one thing I do want to talk about, which I'll probably talk about when I'm finished, but you do lose that little bit of fitness. You gain sharpness, but you lose that touch of fitness when you have a rest week the way I have, which is like, you'll see that I've done not much, like 100k almost at this point. So not much training, because I did almost 400k last week and 100k race thing that I did as well. So yeah, I'm certainly feeling that. It's like just blowing cobwebs out is the best way to relate it. But it's something that, like, it's always important to note is, especially when you're leading into a race itself, it's like tapering. Doing too little impacts you massively, like I am at the moment. Like, you can do it as a strategy in your training blocks the way I have, because obviously it doesn't matter that I don't have the best performance today. It's more about the training. Whilst I do want to check on how my times are, which they're all improving, which is good. It is fine to not be at optimum right away. Anyway, let's flick across. Alrighty, that really hurt. I think I did not feel enough. So, sorry, back to 2 weeks ago topic. Yeah, you need to fuel. There's the route chaser badge unlocked. Perfect. And yeah, it was 116 across the line. I think we started around 106, maybe. We'll check in post, it's all good. But boy, I'm cooked. Very cooked, but thankfully this is Zwiftfeld episode. I kept this going. Alrighty. Well, that was a pretty good Zwift workout. I did no, I think I did pretty well. Like I was pretty happy with my numbers. I was starting to fatigue up the wall, so you guys didn't see that. But I was starting to get a bit fatiguey on that bit after the main block I did. But then it kind of came good. The numbers are looking okay. I'm pretty happy with where things are at. Well, till next week, guys. That's been this week's log. See yous.